Hello, I'm Michael Burr, vicar of Trinity Church. I'm here in our North Churchyard with the Reverend Kristen Miles, priest and director of pastoral care and community. You may know our churchyards at Trinity Church and St. Paul's Chapel. Thousands of visitors come each year to see the resting place of Alexander Hamilton, which is next to Trinity Church at the end of Wall Street.
In addition to these downtown churchyards, Trinity has a cemetery and mausoleum in Hamilton Heights at 153rd Street and Broadway. And there you will find connections to Hamilton and a lot of history. And Michael is going to walk you through some of these significant sites.
Alexander Hamilton died in one of the most famous duels in U.S. history. He was killed by the man who at that time was Vice President of the United States, Aaron Burr. 30 years later, Burr's second wife, Eliza Jumel, wanted to divorce him after he mismanaged her fortune, and Alexander Hamilton Jr., Alexander Hamilton's second son, served as the divorce lawyer to her. Eliza Jumel was buried in Trinity Church Cemetery in 1865. At the time of her death, she was one of the richest women in New York. In 1912, after the Titanic sank in the North Atlantic, Trinity Cemetery became the final resting place of one of the most famous figures on board, John Jacob Astor IV. John Jacob was a lieutenant colonel in the Spanish-American War and a prominent member of the Astor family. Although he died in the sinking of the Titanic, his wife, Madeline Astor, was rescued and gave birth to their son 4 months later. Both of them are buried here along with many more members of the Astor family, including the patriarch of the family, John Jacob Astor I. Many people are unfamiliar with the name Clement Clarke Moore. He was a professor of biblical literature at the General Theological Seminary of the Episcopal Church, and he actually gave the land for it in Chelsea Square here in Manhattan. But you should know Clement Clarke Moore because he gave us the modern concept of Santa Claus and gift-giving. He wrote a famous poem, A Visit from St. Nicholas, which you might know as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Clement's father was Benjamin Moore, rector of Trinity Church, and the man who gave Alexander Hamilton his last Holy Communion. John James Audubon was interred here in 1851. Audubon combined his interests in art and ornithology in his major work, The Birds of America. It is one of the finest ornithological works ever completed. In addition to the many historic and notable figures who are here, the Uptown Cemetery and Mausoleum is unique on the island of Manhattan because we're still serving our community today.
We at Trinity are here to offer you support as you are coping with any of life's journeys and transitions, including grief and loss. Whether you are coming to visit our churchyards, making arrangements to inter a loved one, or are seeking a community of love and support, we warmly welcome you here at Trinity Church.